for about 10 years now, I've been able to see through my eyelids. But let me explain. But I think there's a scientific explanation for this, because it's not what you think. So I'm going to first invite anybody who has had this experience and who has a very scientific sort of approach to life to chime in, because this is something that's kind of been a big question in my mind. Like, how does this work? Why is this working? What is actually happening? So the first option or theory that I've been able to come up with as far as why this happens, what is possibly happening, is that this is possibly some form of synesthesia. That somewhere there are actually several areas involved in proprioception. If you're not sure what proprioception is the ability to sense your position in space. Okay, so I think it may be possible that some sort of spatial mapping in conjunction with the movement of my body is somewhere crossing signals with my visual system. But it gets a little trickier, because it's not like I can see directly through my eyelids. It's not like I can see colors. What it is if I close my hands, even if I put a pillow over my face, even if I put a thick book right in front of my face, I can see it's you know, when you look at something moving, and then you look at something, stare at something moving for a while, the waterfall illusion, right? Where you stare at a waterfall and then look at a wall and it looks like the wall is melting upward. It's that kind of ripple, but it's very distinct. Like there's no question that something is there. So, upon the blackness of what is behind my eyelids, I see a ripple of exactly my hand. No, not exactly. It's the shape, right? But then there is, this is going to sound really woo, but this is what I see, okay? And I would much rather find a legitimate neurological or physiological explanation for this. That being the case, I am open-minded, and if it was the last thing to consider, but it would have to be the last thing to consider, because that would be very silly to just jump right in and to think it's some sort of, spiritual sort of anomaly, right? So don't judge me. You can't judge me. I don't care if you judge me. Go ahead and judge me. I will see the outline of my hand, and then kind of streams that start skinny and come out and then spread out, like beams that come out, get a little wider, and then almost like an exponential curve, but on both ways, like little flashlights. But as it spreads out, it gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And then there's a larger kind of aura, I guess, around the limb. Now, this has been 10, 15 years since I've done this. Sometimes it's very visible. Sometimes it's I'll lay down, close my eyes, and I can see it really well. It's very, very visible. Sometimes it isn't as much. It's this sort of dim. So, if it is neurological, it has to be something that varies, right? Something that kind of has some sort of a roll factor. And it's not like, like an hour later it's visible. It's like the next day it's visible. It's the intensity of how visible it is rolls, over like days. So, proprioception mixed with something in the visual system, possibly singular lateral cortex, something, genicular, crap, I can't remember what it's called. The movement part, right? It specifically is designed to detect movement in the visual field. Okay. So that's that. That's theory number one, that it is some form of synesthesia. Theory number two is that I am picking up infrared. Another interesting note I would like to add is that it's not just my body that I can see, right? I can see things in my room, and very specifically, things that have kind of fine cuts in it. Corners, right, along the ceiling and the wall are very, very pop out, right? And my bed's headboard is made of wood, and where they fit the different pieces of wood together, they did it very well. It's very difficult to see with your eyes. But at night, when the lights are out and I look, I can see exactly where they are. So much so I can go out and touch them, open my eyes, and I'm right where the joins are. I found that very curious. That deep wood grain grooves are extremely visible. I found that very curious. So it kind of diminishes the viability of the proprioceptive synesthesia model. However, it could be that it is a mix of that as well as some sort of infrared detection. I know that there have been scientific reports and publications at least insinuating that some people can see infrared in some conditions. Now, if I sit up, I close my eyes, and I keep my eyes forward, okay? So they're looking forward, and I'll turn my head back and forth. Even with a pillow over my face, even with my blinders on, right? Put a book up, whatever the case is. There is depth and some sort of gradient, a depth gradient, right? I guess is what I was trying to say there. And so I can see the background passing by as the foreground remains. Like there is a definite background, and it definitely holds still wherever it is, and whatever is up close stays there and stays affixed to the movement of my head. You know what I mean, right? Like my hand is moving with my head while everything in the background is just staying where it is. That sort of perceptive thing. So, I have not tested this yet, but I have noticed that, as I said, I can see things in my room, right? Now, if it is proprioceptive or a mix, right? If I have my internal map of where I am, right? My bed, my ceiling, walls, window, curtains, all that, I can, if that's somehow fed in to part of, the proprioceptive system, along with my mental mapping system, they would have to be closely associated in the brain, right? Or you would think that they would be in a similar sort of region where cross-firing could occur. It could be a diet thing that causes the rolling kind of intensity day in, day out. I just thought of that since I'm first time talking about this, like really talking about this. I've talked with my wife about this, but A couple of friends maybe, but I've never really just like kind of gone over everything that I've thought about it. Another thing. Okay, so if it's infrared, you would assume that if you put enough stuff in between you and, you know, in front of my eyes, that it would diminish that, right? Or is that not correct? Infrared can go through a lot. I'm gonna have to look that up and play with that. This is like boom, it's right there. I close my eyes, it's right there. I don't have to get into a meditative state or anything like. And my wife and I had her test me with it. You know, I asked her to hold her arm, you know, over my hand, and not tell me when over my face, not tell me when her hand was over my face or off to the side or, you know, wherever, and just do it. And I would see if I could see hers, because if it was proprioception, then somebody else's movements wouldn't be able to be registered, which means that I wouldn't be able to really tell whether or not she was putting her hand over my face or around my face or whatever. So this is where it gets a little, nailed it. But yeah, every time I saw a ripple, I went out and straight up just grabbed her arm, like right where it looked like it was. And she thought I was cheating somehow. Just very bizarre. So, okay, so far, 3 theories, right? Or 4-ish, proprioception, or synesthesia happening between proprioception, my internal map of the area that I'm in, and my visual system. Okay, theory number 1. Number 2, some sort of infrared or other sort of electromagnetic detection that I'm picking up with, I don't know, maybe I'm a fringe genetic freak or whatever, or it could be a mix of those two, or just keeping the doors open here, it could be something that, you know, is unexplainable or that current science cannot account for. That being said, let's just put that kind of way over here until we can be for, you know, certain if, you know, whether or not it is one of these other things. If you have had this experience, if you know, have the same sort of analytical, scientific sort of perception, mental processes that I do, I would be very interested in hearing your thoughts on this. If you are a neuroscientist and this sounds interesting to you, I would love to get a brain scan and run some tests, because I have always wanted to know what is going on, like what actually is happening in my brain. You know, what areas are lighting up when this is happening. So, I think that's about it. I just kind of wanted to get that out there and see what, you know, if this is something other people have experienced and have actually, you know, put to the test and tried all the variations and tried to figure out what was going on. And if anybody actually knows what is happening, if there's a paper out there I haven't been able to find yet that clearly explains, you know, most of the anomalies that I've just described. So, yeah, interesting, right? I think it's interesting. I would love to get, you know, have access to more technology to try to figure out exactly what is happening, but I don't. So if you do, if you're like up at the University of Utah or BYU or even Weber State, Weber State have medical school? No, I don't think, do they? I don't know. Either way, it would be interesting to get to the bottom of this. I would be fascinated to actually figure out what is happening and why it's happening. Okay, well, that's it. This is the first just me talking, blabbing about whatever video that I have done on my Creation Tribe channel for years. So yeah, that's fucking that. I will see you guys whenever. Bye. Thanks for watching. Actually, go ahead and subscribe if you like crazy shit. I think I'm gonna be doing more videos like this. I've got a whole list of stuff that I've been wanting to do. And if you like math, I'm going to be doing, well, I've already begun to set up a channel called Whoa Math Mnemonic, which is mathematical or mnemonics for very difficult to understand mathematical, maths. Yeah, wrapping that up. I think will be very cool. And yeah, that's that. I think we're good. All right, guys.